Well, good day, everybody. It's Captain Sal. My wife asked me to make a video about bread making because I decided last night, or yesterday afternoon rather, I was going to make some old-fashioned crispy European baguettes. And she goes, you know what? Why don't you make a video and don't talk like your alter ego, Captain of America? I said, you're right. Let me do a little instructional how-to video. Helps pass the time in this nonsense. So let's just jump right in. So, as most of you that know me know, I am a fifth generation handcraft baker and I'm a chef. I've spent my entire life in the bakery kitchen. One of the things that, all the cool stuff that I've learned how to make and have made over the years, nothing beats a nice loaf of bread. The craftier you can be with it, the better it comes out, to be honest with you. So let's take a look here. Last night I made a sponge or a starter or a biga. I'm going to show it to you. A biga or a starter sponge, is equal parts of flour and water and 1/16% of yeast, and it sits overnight until it doubles in size, which it has. Once it's done that, then we can go ahead and mix our dough, which I'm putting my hook on my Hobart mixer here. There we go. So let me go over the ingredients with you. Now keep in mind, guys, this video is going to be several different parts because of not only the length that it would be if we did it in one part, but the time in between. So there's going to be like a 3-hour window between me actually mixing out the dough and me taking it to the bench, as we call it, and dividing it. Once we divide it, it has to have an intermediate proof or a table time, depending on what you know of it as, but it's the rest time between dividing it and balling it and making it up. And then we have our makeup period, which we'll make it up into loaves. Then we'll have our proof period, which is having it rise on its own. And then obviously the bake period. So we're going to start right here. So what we've got here is let me see if I could do this. This is kind of hard to do. We've got about 2.5. Well, it's 2.5, just over 2.5 cups. So it's about 1.5 pounds of water, 1.25 pounds of water. You see that little stuff floating on top. I'm going to pour this in the bowl just so you guys see what I'm doing. The floating on top is vitamin C, pure ascorbic acid. I just used a vitamin C from the drugstore that I had in the cupboard. Now, vitamin C does not put any nutritional value into the bread. Vitamin C is 100% ascorbic acid, which is derived from orange peels. Just like citric acid is 100% ascorbic acid derived from lemon peels. In any event, the purpose for the vitamin C is to relax the gluten so that we don't have to mix it as long and so that it won't take as long to rise. It'll be easier for us to divide and ball up. It makes the intermediate proof time shorter because it can rise freely without it being too tight, because gluten forms like a rubber band in the actual dough. And then when we actually make up the bread, it allows us to make it up without it tearing, so we get a nice smooth finish to it and a nice velvety texture on the inside. So let me show you this next part of the ingredients here. I'm going to turn my phone. That is about 3.5 pounds of flour, or 7 cups. A half ounce of instant yeast, 1/4 ounce of sugar, and 1/4 ounce of salt. Now, the formula or recipe, in the bakery we don't call it a recipe, it's called a formula. It doesn't call for sugar at all. In a non-controlled environment, you can bank on the natural sugars created from the fermentation process. We don't have a controlled environment here. We're making it in my kitchen. The sugar and yeast and salt are balanced because the salt keeps the yeast from eating too much, and the sugar is there for the yeast to eat. At the end of the day, when the bread is completely done and baked off, all these ingredients would have burned out of the bread. It's a calculation for the yeast, the salt to keep the yeast from eating too much sugar, the sugar to have enough food source for the yeast to eat on a controlled basis, but it's all calculated to burn off when it hits the hot oven. So now we're going to start off. We're going to start mixing our dough. I already have our water in here. Our biga, our sponge starter dough is in here. So we're going to go ahead and put our flour, yeast, and salt into the bowl. I'm going to have to put my phone down for a second, folks. Hold on. Okay, here I am. I'm back. So now we're going to roll our mixer up. We're going to start on low gear, just to let it all start taking up and coming together. So let's call this part 1 of this video. Part 2 will be the final stage of the mix. We just got to mix for like 12 minutes. The final stage of the mix and the handling process from there. I'll be right back with you.